Jumpstart Pro Android comes pre-configured with a model view model architecture for the main activity. So if let's open the main activity, the model view model also is the MVVM architecture. Inside the main activity at the top, you'll see the main activity view model. This is where the majority of the actual logic for the application is going to happen for the main activity, which is not much, but there are some in there. If we take a look, we'll see things that handles notification counts, updating when we do get notification counts from the server. We'll then update it on the actual client, so we get the little bubble in the nav bar. We also handle the login state based upon the user repository. If the user's logged in, we perform some actions. If they're logged out, we perform some other actions. Now, a lot of this happens with Kotlin coroutines and Kotlin flows and live data. These are all asynchronous communication mechanisms, as well as observable data types, where we can observe data on. Inside of the Android components, we'll be working with live data. So we have mutable live data. This is live data that we can observe inside of the activity. So for example, we have a couple of things that we can pay attention to, such as the navigation tab state. This is modified inside of the initialization block of the main activity view model. However, we do subscribe to the main activity view state, the main activity tab state inside of the main activity. So inside the main activity, what we will do is we'll then observe this navigation tab state, and when it changes, we will then either decide to show the tabs with the tab data, or we will hide the tabs. And this is the actual code that will then go down to compose and hide it or show the tabs that are at the bottom of the screen. We also pay attention to the notification URL and observe that. If we get a notification URL, which we can take a look at it here, the latest notification URL is located right here, and the latest notification URL is set right here. What ends up happening is we process the latest notification when we have one, and that notification will get a message ID and a URL. We'll set that value, and then we will set it that it is being processed. Then from there, this main activity view model, we will observe it, check the navigator, and we will automatically route to it. So as these things have been processed and the user taps on a notification, we'll automatically route to that URL that the notification has had inside of it. Now, there are multiple layers of indirections where it seems like, for example, we might use a process intent, which happens on new intent. We'll find the new intent that's given to the main activity. This intent will be delivered to the activity if it's running already. At that point, we will process the intent. We will pull some data out of it, such as the notification URL, maybe the message ID. Then we'll actually send it to the main activity view model to do the processing. And then from there, we will then these values will get updated, and then the subscriber to this will then automatically respond to that and process that notification, which is what we see here. So what we're having is the main activity get invoked. We get some data out of it. We send it to the view model. The view model does some processing on the data. Then the main activity is observing any of the changes that it needs to perform some action, which is right here. The notification URL is changing, and then it will automatically route to that new notification. In that view model, we're performing some checks and keeping state of what notifications have been processed and not. And many people might think this seems to be very complicated, and it can overcomplicate certain systems. This could all be done in the main activity. You don't need a view model. However, what a view model does is it does give you the ability to unit test it a lot easier. And that is one of the reasons why you use a view model. If you do not like it, you can actually pull that code out and use it directly inside the main activity, but you do lose some of the testability, as the view models are testable a lot easier than components like activities and fragments inside of Android. And that's about it for the MVVM architecture inside of Jumpstart Pro Android. It's very minimal. We just have the main activity view model, and not much else is going on. So anytime you have any specific logic that might be specific to the initialization of the application that's related to business logic or something like that, or even something you would like to test that is happening accordingly, you might want to put that in the view model and observe those changes through some type of live data. Then it'll make it a little bit more testable. It will make the code a little more complex because you have more observability going on and more things to wire together. But that is the bare bones minimum implementation of MVVM on Jumpstart Pro Android.